Hi, it's Sandy Wyllie. Welcome to my mental health channel, Inside My Holes, where I will wipe away the stigma of mental illness by talking about my own personal struggles, having borderline personality disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety and panic attacks, depression. I talk about my narcissistic mother who used to brutally beat me as a child, my paranoid schizophrenic father who was in and out of mental institutes all my life, my unethical psychologists who raped me and sexually exploited me, all the different therapies I've been in over the years, and a plethora of other mental health related topics. But I only come on as a former patient of almost 20 years. I am not a licensed therapist. I do not hold a degree in psychology, so I cannot diagnose you or give you a professional opinion. All I ask in turn of you is your respect and kindness, please, in the comments. Please be kind and respectful to me. Be kind and respectful to other people who comment. We don't need to agree on everything, but we always need to show each other respect and kindness. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome. Stick around, take a chance. Hit that subscribe button there on the lower right-hand corner. That way there you'll be notified every time a new video comes out, and it's 100% free. If you like what you see, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Today we're going to talk about inner child work. What is inner child work and how can you do it? You don't need to be a psychologist to be aware of these things or to integrate these things into your life. Now, the inner child are parts of ourselves that were stunted, okay, that didn't develop when we were growing up. Why didn't they develop? Because we were traumatized, we were abused, we were neglected. Something happened to us at a certain point in our development. It could have been at an infancy, it could have been when we were a toddler, it could have been when we were, 5, 6, 10, a teenager, a preteen. It could have been anywhere. But something happened at one of the stages of our development that stunted us, prevented us from emotionally growing up. So we're kind of stuck at that stage. A great example of this, how I was stuck, was when my father left my mother when I was like 2 years old. He left for several years, till like I was 5 or 6. Many years he left. My father was paranoid schizophrenic. He was delusional. I've done other videos on him. He heard voices. He was out of touch with reality. He thought aliens were coming down and he gonna kidnap me, or he thought there was bombs in the house or in the car. He was completely delusional, out of touch with reality, and he heard voices. He was also a compulsive gambler. He drank very heavy during that time. He had many adulterous affairs. He hooked up with hookers and prostitutes, and he just went on a binge of all these things and left the house. And I was in the hands of my narcissistic mother, who brutally beat me. She left bleeding welts on my body. She belittled me. She called me horrific names, swore at me all the time. F you. F you. She would break my... I did a whole other video. You can watch that about why I'm glad my mother died. So I got stunted at that time from 2 years old to about, I'd say 5 or 6 years old, was a time that I was neglected, physically, emotionally, verbally abused. So you could say that I'm stunted. I stopped developing emotionally at the age of between 2 and 6. So that's where I'm stunted. Now, to do your inner child work, you have to have a lot of compassion for that part of yourself that never got a head start, okay? Other children at that age, other children that had loving homes, even if they didn't have both parents, okay? You don't need to, always have both parents to have a loving, nurturing home. As long as you have stability, which I never had, I was severely beaten. I never had any kind of emotional regulation or consistency in my life. So you have to think about, you have to go back to that time, and you have to reparent yourself to that part of you that never got to be a child. And I'm sure I'm speaking not only for myself, but I'm sure I'm speaking for a lot of you out there who have been severely stunted. Your emotional growth has, because of the trauma. It's always because of trauma that keeps parts of ourselves stuck in the past. And when I started having children, it opened my eyes to a lot of my childhood trauma, especially when my children, because I have two sons, were at the age where I was severely abused. And how I got to reparent my inner child, how I did you can do this in therapy. Most therapists will do inner child work, if not most, a good majority do inner child work. And you don't need to do inner child work only for people who are severely, had an abusive or traumatic childhood. You can do inner child work with just about anyone, okay? Because at some point in our childhood, if it wasn't from our parents or whatnot, we've been traumatized from in school, from bullies, from other people outside. So it's always healthy to do inner child work. Well, I got to live out a little of my childhood that I missed out on through having children, okay? I got to do those nurturing, building forts with my son in the living room, under the coffee table, putting blankets, putting pillows, those things that my parents never did with me. I did with my son, going fishing with my son, hooking a worm, having big birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese with lots of children, big birthday parties at my own home for my son, inviting everyone up, and just making a big deal out of everything, going to all my son's school events, going to his martial arts, being 100% in with my children. And this is how, and through doing that, I was kind of reliving, like having a second childhood through doing that. But you don't have to have children to reparent yourself, okay? I knew a woman who always wanted, I didn't know her personally. I heard of her through someone else, okay? So it wasn't like she was my friend. But she always wanted to have a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party. Now, do you guys know Chuck E. Cheese? I mean, I think they got rid of most of the Chuck E. Cheeses around here. It was this big, like, arcade place that had pizza, and it had these big, like, characters on a stage, animated characters. They were huge, like over 6 feet tall. One was like a rat. That was Chucky. Was he a mouse or a rat? I forget. And then they had a duck, and they had this big stage production, and this big, like, pinballs and arcade games, and this crawl space. Well, this woman never got to have a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party. I gave my son a Chuck E. Cheese, Austin. I gave my son Austin a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party with the works, And at 35 years old, she said, you know what? I'm going to have a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party. And she was 35 years old. And she invited all her friends, and they were very supportive of her. All her friends came. They all got her gifts. She had the, right there at Chuck E. Cheese. And she fulfilled her childhood dream, or her childhood wish that she never got. So it's never too late to do those kind of things, if it doesn't take the place of, of parents who were there and supportive and loving and nurturing, you know, it doesn't take the place of that. But you can still find things like that, for instance, and other relationships that can take the place of a parental figure that you never had. I had this therapist for 16 years who was 22 years older than me, but a lot of bad things happened in that therapy, and I don't want to go into that. But the main attraction with that therapist, Dr. Richard Geis, he was 22 years older than me, that he was a parental figure for me. At the time I was seeing him, he was very low-key, very calm. Unlike both my parents were chaotic, screaming, hysterical people, he was very soft-spoken, very calm, very soothing, and he reparented me. In the beginning stages of that therapy, I laid in his lap. He read me children's books, like Alexander and the Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. How many people know that? If you have kids, you might know it. You might have heard of it. So he read me. What about the Runaway Bunny? Anyone know that? I laid in his lap, and he put a blanket over me, and he read to me children's stories. And we went in he had a little daughter at that time. This was like a long time ago. And we went, both of us, on her childhood play equipment. He took me to the park, and we played, ball at the park. And so he took the place, reparented me, so I got to feel a safe, secure attachment to a parental figure that I never in my life, I didn't feel safe with my father either, because he was so mentally ill. I couldn't feel safe with him. Certainly didn't feel safe with my mother. She was extremely abusive. And I was an only child. I didn't have brothers and sisters. I didn't have any family. I didn't have any older person to look up to nurture me, to make me feel safe. It's horrible growing up not feeling safe. It's one of the worst feelings in the world, okay? Especially when you're young, not feeling safe. I mean, safe, understood, loved, nurtured, cared for. I never had any of that as a child. That's how I got stunted. So I did a lot of this inner work in my therapy. Unfortunately, a lot of bad things happened in that therapy. And I'm not going to go into that. I mean, you can get carried away trying to reparent a patient into unhealthy areas, and I don't really want to go into it, because that's not the purpose of this video. But what I'm trying to say is, it's never too late to get, to go back and get the parenting that you never got, and you can do that for yourself. And I gave an example with that woman who threw herself a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party at age 35. There's a lot of creative outlets you can do too. You can start painting, you can make sculpturing. You can do something artistic, like a child would do. A child doesn't worry. They're not worried when you paint. When I was in kindergarten, and they had the easel up, and I used to paint, a little kid doesn't worry, I'm not good at this. Oh, this is ugly. Oh, this doesn't look like a tree. They don't think like that, like adults do. Oh, I can't do that. I stink at that. I can't draw. I can't draw for nothing. That's how because adults are very critical. But when you're through the lens of a child, you don't care about that. You just take the paint, and you just do whatever you want to do, and you're having fun. Do you like my picture? And you go by the response of the adults to see if you did a good job. If they said, oh, that's beautiful. Look at the green leaves over here. Look at the branch over here. I'm going to hang that up on the refrigerator. I used to hang up all my children's artwork on the refrigerator. So the child doesn't know that that looks nothing like a tree. They say, wow, I did good. Mommy and Daddy praised me. They hung up my painting on the refrigerator. That's what builds confidence, see? If you have a critical parent and say, what's that? A tree? It looks nothing like a tree. What do you think that child is gonna see? You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter if you think you can't do this, you think you can't paint, you think you can't sing, you think you can't draw. I didn't care what people thought of me when I did my karaoke. A lot of my channel is karaoke because this channel originated as a karaoke channel, and I already had like over 1,000 subscribers back then, and I didn't want to create a whole new channel, so I just put the mental health as a forefront and the karaoke's in the back as a backdrop. But I didn't care for those critical, judgmental people who told me I can't sing. They're just like my mother. They're narcissistic. No one would say that unless they're narcissistic, because just like a parent would never say to a child, what is that? It's a tree, Mommy. It looks nothing like a tree. You can't draw. No parent would ever say that. Anyone with kindness and empathy, a good person would never say that, see? So, who cares? Block out, put headphones on and put music. That's what my son does. He puts the headphones on and plays the music and drown out all those naysayers and do what, be creative. That's a good outlet to heal your inner child. Do something creative. It could be anything, It could be anything. But that will help, these are just, ideas, all right? They're just ideas of what can help you do the inner child work. Like I said, good therapy will help you do that. Will draw you to. You got to have compassion for your inner child. That's what it's all about. Growing up, a lot of us, we never got our emotional needs met when we should have. I never did at all. So I had to find ways to reparent myself, okay? I had to be my own parent. I had to, hug myself, nurture myself, praise myself, not be afraid to take those risks because, children are never afraid, okay? Look at how, if they were, they'd never learn how to walk, right? Because how many times has little kids, toddlers, fallen down all over? They got black and blues on their knees. They fall down because that's what it is to learning to walk. And they look up to the parent, and if the parent is nurturing and caring, they say, that's okay, you did good, keep trying. Then they're not afraid to take chances, But so we've got to work on our own wounded children. We all of us have a wounded child deep inside of ourselves, and it's never too late to parent that wounded child. Okay, it's never too late. You need to have some compassion, some empathy, and allow that part of yourself that got stunted to grow, and it could be when you're 40, 50, 60, 70. It's never too late to let that part of, that wounded child that was so hurt, traumatized, to develop. It's not too late to do that. And, I've been working on that, my inner child work. I've tried to work on that in my therapies. I'm still working on that now as an adult, because part of doing the karaoke was dressing up. You ever play dress up? You know how children love to dress up? When I did the karaoke, that's all I did was dress up. It wasn't just singing. I dressed up in different costumes. If you watch the old karaoke videos, I dressed up like a child dresses up. You know, I looked different, like different characters. And like I was play acting, and I was having a lot of fun doing it. I was doing my childhood over again through my karaoke by dressing up and being whatever I wanted to be at the time. You know, I dress up. I did a karaoke of What Does the Fox Say? And I dressed up. I went to the store and got a fox Halloween costume. It had and I painted my face like a fox, and I had the fox's ears and the fox's costume on, and you know, so I was doing my childhood all over again, you know, at the age where I wasn't allowed to I was never allowed to express myself as a child, ever. So how could I reparent myself? By doing it as a much older adult in my own YouTube karaoke. I could, you know, be that young child, 4, 5, 6, who dresses up and sings. You know how kids love to do that? And, you know, I enjoyed it. I got pleasure out of it. And I think it helped me start healing inside. A lot of people criticized me and put me down. And you know what I do? I just stay away from those people. I don't need another narcissistic mother type in my life. Believe me, I suffered so much. I don't need another person like that in my life. So I hope that you can tell me if you've done some inner child work, how it's helped you. And let's just keep communicating and talking about it, because these are all very important subjects that I'm doing right now, and they help me, and I hope they help you, and so we can grow together. Okay, on this beautiful fall day, I hope you have a lovely day.